Snakes. My name is Dante, and today it's Podcast Tuesday once again, and we are going to break down the top 3 standard decks from 2017 against the current standard metagame. So we're gonna take the 10 most popular standard decks of today and compare them to the and compare each deck, to the 3 top decks. Which decks would win, which decks would lose, and evaluate if standard truly has received a power creep or not. For this matchup, I will take standard 2017 before Epsilon and with no ban list. So cards banned in 2017 will not be banned for the purposes of this matchup. Emrakul, however, will be banned because it was banned in 2016, not 2017. And for those wondering why I chose 2017 specifically, it's because it was the last time Standard was actually good before it spiraled downhill. 2017, 2018 was like the best, was the peak of Standard. Eventually, Standard, just fell off. The only time it was actually good was 2021 when Delver was a thing in Standard. So, yeah. Let's just go into the number 10. And we got... So, Celestia Landfall. Either Odex win or Timur Energy and Dimir Control would win. Based on the fact that Celestia Landfall is so freaking inconsistent that it would not stand a chance against Dimir Control. And Timur Energy could just beat down the Celestia Landfall deck faster, has more consistency in the combo, getting off, whatchamacallit? Oh, frick, it's called, Ulamog, yeah. And, just block whatever the Celestia deck has in store. So, yeah. Celestia Landfall will get cooked by Timur Energy and Dimir Control. I mean, yeah, there is, a win con for Celestia Landfall against Timur Energy. Also, but the same win con can apply for Mono Red beating Celestia Landfall. Now let's just go into our number 9. And we got... So this is the top 3 standard decks against... Is it Spelementals? And the only one that actually prevails is Eddie Crab. So, yeah. Basically, the Eddie Crab, as Experimentals, relies heavily on a graveyard. So, the Mirror Control could just stifle that. And, stifle in the sense that they won't have the graveyard and they'll just take everything from it. Just kill off whatever elementals they pull off. And, but Timur sadly does not stand a chance because, well, the creatures get bounced, the creatures will be killed, exiled, even, countered sometimes. And Mono Red is just too slow. It's not gonna beat its fundamentals fast enough. However, Dimir Control just wins this. And yeah. Now let's just go into our number 8. And we got... So we got 4-color control. And basically the winners would be Ramnap and debatably Timur Energy. Ramnap would just speed blitz a 4-color control deck before they even get off a single Jeskai Revelation. However, Timur Energy, it can win based on the fact that if it just gets off an Ulamog, it would just break their game plan. However, they could just, balance the things with Jeskai Revelation and just spam, Jeskai Revelations, monks and stuff. However, yeah, since Ulamog cast trigger, with exile 2 permanents is a cast trigger. It's not ETB. The only thing that could stop that trigger is a Tishana's Tidebinder, which would not affect Ulamog's abilities. So Ulamog would still have indestructible, and there's not much that a 4-card control deck can do to stop it. Yeah, 4-card control gains a lot of life, but it's no use if the whole library gets edged out. So yeah, Ramirab Red and Timur Energy would win this matchup. Now let's go into our number 7. And we got Standard 2017 against Is It Prowess. The only one that would win here is Demir Control, based on the fact that Is It Prowess could just bounce what Timur Energy has in store for them with the Marvel, Averworks Marvel, and it's too fast for a Raminap Red deck. Raminap Red is much slower than Is It Prowess, and they don't pack nearly as much as a punch. And the creatures would just die to the removals that Is It Prowess has in store for them, except for Hazard. Hazard isn't because Hazard has indestructible. But if they just bounce stuff as well, you won't be able to attack with Hazard due to the having just one or fewer cards. But it is quite debatable in Raminap Red versus Is It Prowess. Just Is It Prowess is more consistent and would win more consistently. However, Demir Control just wins just by killing off all the Prowess creatures, countering the spells, and just using the Scarab to just bring back the Prowess. The Slick Shots as 4/4 zombies with flying haste and double thingy prowessing. I don't know. And now, oops, there's another one, and it is so this is It Spells. Now, Is It Spells is actually a different one. I mean, it's not the same. So it does run Storm Chaser's hand sometimes, but it's not the same thing as Is It Prowess or Is It Spelementals, because this is a variation that runs that runs that runs Jeskai Revelation, despite the fact that it doesn't even use Jeskai. It's just you get treasures and you can just ramp, and you even use the sorcery that lets you cascade four cost and stuff. It's just I don't know. I don't remember the name, but it's just crazy. However, Timur Energy and Demir Control could just win. Timur Energy is a stretch because Boomerang Basics exists, but Demir Control would just obliterate, just counter all the win cons, and it's just there's nothing that Is It Spells could do against Demir Control. It's just Demir Control may not be that powerful it was a top 3, but compared to Raminap Red and Timur, it wasn't really that it wouldn't always win those matchups, but compared to current standard, it just demolishes most decks. It's just crazy. So yeah, but let's just go into our number 5, and we got Demir Excruciator versus the Big Free Standard 2017 decks. So Timur would lose his matchups based on the fact that the Doomsday Excruciator, they don't have answer to the graveyard. Spider-Man, would just copy the whatever biggest thing that the Is It deck would be running, and it just kills off whatever if Doomsday Excruciator would just exile everything but the 6 cards, which would reduce the ability to get the things from the Averworks Marvel. However, Demir Control would win this matchup based on the fact that Demir Control can just exile everything from the graveyard, take their own stuff, and they can use they can literally benefit from a Doomsday Excruciator trigger by just forcing the opponent to just die. They get decked out. They just it's quite complicated, but they would basically exile Doomsday Excruciator to get their own version that would with no downside. So basically just a 4/4 zombie with flying that draws you card each upkeep without exiling everything but the bottoms just because it wasn't cast, you know? Or, you even get the Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, Caballero, whatever you guys call it, and, just do some crazy stuff with it, but, well, also don't forget, um, you can also take the Evokers, and yeah, and Red just blitzes them. I mean, the Mirror Crusader does have like removals and stuff, but it wouldn't really. There's not much they can do against Mono Red. So yeah, let's go to our number 4, and we got. So standard 2017 against Mono Green. So the winners would be Timur Energy and Demir Control. Ramrap Red does not stand much of a chance based on the fact that it's just unironically slower than Mono Green. But Timur Energy and Demir Control would win based on the fact that Mono Green has no answer to Timur Energy's energy thing, Averworks Marvel. And Demir Control will just slow down completely the Mono Green deck to a halt, taking their creatures, Earthbending with a Badger Mockup taken from Scarab God, Torrential Gear Hope also just disrupts them a lot. So, and they don't have much answer to the graveyard, just Curators and Oozes. So yeah, that's basically the how standard 2017 versus the Mono Green would go on. But let's just go into our number 3. And we got standard 2017 versus Lessons. Lessons is such an overrated deck and would literally lose to every single top 2017 deck. Possibly it would even lose to Timur Energy with the ban list. It's like no Averworks Marvel is actually needed. I mean, this deck is so freaking overrated and just would lose to any of the older decks. So yeah, it would even lose to a mono blue Delver from back from 2023. So imagine a 2017 standard deck. Yeah, Lessons would literally get demolished here. So even Mono Red would win this matchup. Demir just straight up, overpowered. I mean, Demir is, the most likely to lose this. However, yeah, Timur and Mono Red would just win. So, yeah, let's just go into our number 2. Here we got. So you got Storm Chase. So we got is it Self Bounce? Okay, in standard 2017. So is it self bounce? It's kind of like is it prowess deck, but it just relies mainly on bouncing Storm Chaser's talent. So since it can bounce, and has lots of removals and stuff, it would just kill off the Random Red, and it would disrupt Averworks Marvel and Timur. However, Demir Control could still win, despite the fact that they would just bounce the tokens. I mean, there's not much tokens to use because they won't have much creatures. But is it would still lose to Demir in this matchup. So yeah, that's basically the quick breakdown on the Is it self bounce. There's some. It's just like Is it has so many variants in standard. So yeah, let's just go into our number 1. And we got Selesnya Aggro, which would be Demir Control and Timur Energy. So Selesnya Aggro is the more consistent version of Selesnya, which doesn't rely on landfall to win. So Mono Red would get demolished, and Timur Energy is just I mean, it's just similar how the matchups would go for Selesnya landfall. except the fact that it would more consistently win over a mono red. And Timur Energy does not much change, and it does have a greater chance at beating Dimir Control, but it would likely still lose, especially with things like the Scarab God that could just take the Gear Hulks and the Land Elves and stuff. So, and yeah, just it even stops the things that the Nature's River, I feel it's called. Yeah, that would just bring in the things. But that's basically the quick breakdown for this deck. I believe it is more consistent than Celestia Landfall, but it would not change the outcome whatsoever. Now let's go for the combo. It is. So the combo is Brass King Boot Scale and Long Fang. By adapting, you put the +1/+1 counter and you get a spawn. You sacrifice a spawn for mana, put the +1 counter on Brass King Boot Scale, create a spawn. That's infinite mana, infinite ETBs, infinite sacrifices. So, yeah, that's basically the main breakdown for this combo. There's not much, and yeah, it's just another version of the Basking Brute Scale combo, just a bit more complicated, but you can use Longfang as your commander, so it's much easier to assemble. Now let's go in for the non-bow, and it is. So we got Containment Priest and Ephemerate. So this matchup, oh what? No, my bad. This is actually Containment Priest is actually played in lots of Esper Blink decks, or just Blink decks in Modern in the sideboard, despite the fact that it disrupts their whole Blink plan with Ephemerate. So yeah, I mean I don't see why they're playing Containment Priest in. I mean, if it literally just goes against them, and Orzhov, Esper, just not the ones. I mean, of course, not the ones that were running, Gorios, but I've seen Containment Priest in a few Blink deck lists. Yeah, it's crazy how I even saw a Damping Sphere in a mono green devotion deck. So yeah, it was actually crazy. I made a full meme on that. So yeah, congratulations. You've reached the end of the podcast. So why don't you like and subscribe if you enjoy, share friends, follow my Twitch channel, stay tuned to my next video streams and podcasts. Next podcast will be live 4:30 GMT. So stay tuned and watch my other videos too. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and bye.